guys, and welcome back to the podcast. We're on episode 18.
18.
Yeah, we're definitely sure it's 18.
We're definitely sure.
We're sitting here going, is it 17, 18? But so excited because we have on the amazing Jen Rolwich.
Hello.
Jen has like a million titles. So it's one of those ones where she is like a psychologist, owns her own business, pretty much an absolute boss lady.
Oh, thanks.
So,
Man.
Yeah.
I'll not go get my head out that door.
Come back here, more
But it is true. But we've got her on today because obviously we love to kind of deep dive into like mental health and obviously like just everything like that in general. And Jen is the woman with the answers.
Oh God,
She's got all the answers.
Yeah.
I know, no pressure. But
All the
no
gear and the
pressure.
idea.
People are here for answers.
You damn, well, I like picking your brains, so I've just done it for about 20
It's really
minutes.
just for us.
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Just for us.
That's exactly it.
If
So
anybody
welcome,
watches it.
Jen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. I'm glad that I didn't make a show of myself the last time and yous went, we're never getting hurt back.
Well, we did say the last time though that you were going to, next time you were going to come, we were going to bring wine. And there isn't any wine.
I actually texted Nikki earlier and
She
said
did, yeah.
I wish we had wine.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
really-
I did say I'd probably get cancelled.
We really need to do one. Why don't we do one, a celebratory one when you finish your diet, and we'll do a bit like a wine one.
Are you
Deal.
like, so when I'm lean as possible,
Fuck
you
it,
might
what?
add
See back
alcohol
on again.
into
Fuck's
that?
sake. Get another guest on, man.
Let's add alcohol into that.
We'll do.
Yeah.
I've got the camera and the podcast mic and all that in the house, so just come tonight. And
That's
I
a
mean,
good shout.
Fucking, but
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
I know.
Fucking hell.
No, I've got one camera
All right,
and
okay.
one mic.
All right.
Don't
Just over in the one mic.
We'll be singing though if I had to drink in me.
Aye, I wouldn't want to listen
We
to
did a podcast that was like,
I know. That'll be a laugh.
that would be a laugh.
Right, well, we kind of just wanted to get you on. The last time you were on, we talked a lot about, well, we talked a lot.
all my traumas.
You talked a lot.
Yeah.
And like a lot about coaching that. We wanted to make this one a wee bit more specific to like clients, their own struggles and things like that. So obviously we put out Q&As
Yeah.
and asked clients a bunch of questions and thought you could come on and give the answers and we hardly need to do it.
Yeah, because we get such good feedback last time you were on, and
Yeah,
a
we
lot
did.
of people were more like, it would be interesting to hear her perspective on X, Y, and Z more.
Brilliant.
So we thought we need to get her back on to talk about all
My
this.
favourite thing to do is talk and share opinions. So
Love that.
this is the perfect place for me.
Brilliant. Do you want to start or will I start?
Yeah, so I can I was laughing in the car on the way over here with Lou because about 10 of them the same question.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all the
So-
same question.
A lot of them are like, it's always surrounding like, so one of the ones I got is, hi Nikki, can you please ask Jane about self-sabotage and why we do this? This is my biggest struggle in life. I feel like I get somewhere, even when I'm on a positive roll, and then for some reason I completely fuck it. It's so disheartening and I just don't know how to get out of this cycle. And I've had about 8 people say right about the same question.
Yeah. Okay. So the term self-sabotage fucking triggers me. It is a thing, right? It is a thing. And there is evidence that backs it as a concept.
Yep.
But I always like to look at the science, right? So what is the science? What is the evidence that tells us what this thing is that's now become a phenomenon that's been called self-sabotage, right?
Yep.
People do this with a lot of things, do it like self-sabotage, imposter syndrome. These things are not in the fucking DSM-5. They're not syndromes. They're not
Are they
things
not?
to
Really?
brand yourself with. No, these are just terms and concepts that are created to better help us understand what's happening scientifically. My issue with things like that is that they attach a label. So like you'll hear people say, I'm an all or nothing kind of person. That's a thinking distortion, that's labeling, right? So that you're not any type of person. You're not, it's very much like, I just self-sabotage. And then that's it, all ownership is gone and it's deflected onto a thing, as opposed to understanding why am I self-sabotaging. And see, to be fair, it's a lot of people like, I'm not going to fucking name names because then people will not listen to anything I say if I name their favourite person. But there's a lot of like big mindset and inverted
Gurus.
commas type of gurus who are great motivational speakers and great at forming concepts, but don't actually then tell people why it's happening and how you change it, which is what winds me up. So essentially what self-sabotage is a natural thing that you experience through the process of change. It doesn't mean that you don't want it enough. It doesn't mean that you're somehow getting in your own way deliberately or that you have an inherent issue with who you are as a person. It's just something that naturally happens through the process of change, and it needs to happen in order for you to progress anyway. So people would describe self-sabotage, say, on a fat loss journey, right, as I'm great through the week, but then I self-sabotage at the weekend, right?
Yep.
Because they've then branded that as self-sabotage, they just apportion blame to themselves and see themselves as the problem, right? I self-sabotage at the weekend, so I'm the problem and I need to stop self-sabotaging. What that doesn't give you is any understanding of why do you overeat at the weekend? Where is this coming from, right? Is this an emotional trigger? Is it a situational trigger? Is it an environmental trigger? What's causing it to happen? And why does the cycle keep repeating? So it doesn't give you the opportunity to actually understand the thing.
Yep.
What I like to do instead is understanding, instead of branding yourself as I am self-sabotaging, let's understand why it's happening, how proportionate that is in relation to how change works in the brain, and then experiment with doing things in a different way. So if you are somebody who self-sabotages and doesn't understand why, a lot of the time this can be understood through how we filtrate our belief system, right? Everything comes back to your beliefs, literally everything. Think about it almost like a sieve, right? Where based on what you already believe to be true will determine what you let fall through the sieve, right? So for example, if you have a very strong belief system about yourself and your capabilities, if you have tried to lose weight your entire life and you've failed every single time, that's the stack of evidence you're entering change with. So you're entering into change with want and desire and drive and all of those things, but you only have evidence that says you fail every time you do this, right? What happens then is we filter all of our information through that belief system like a sieve, right? So every single time it gets to a weekend and you feel the urge to overeat, because that's the pattern you've created in your mind. Nobody ever eats on a Tuesday at 9 o'clock at their desk and work, right?
True.
People overeat on a Friday night because they go, it's Friday night, right? So everything that goes through that sieve based on your belief system, that will then dictate what you believe will happen next and what you believe to be true, right? So if you're going in with a stack of evidence that says, I fail every single time I go on a fat loss journey because I self-sabotage at weekends, you just behave in accordance with that belief. So as soon as you overeat on a Friday, you don't take a step back and go, I've overeaten. Why has this happened? What triggered it? How do I minimise this frequency, or how do I understand this, or how do I try something different? You internalise it and you go, I've overeaten, I'm a failure. I always do this. I fail every single time. That's the whole weekend I write off now. I'm never going to succeed. Those are two very different thought processes. Yeah. So what happens is if you follow the latter, you internalise all that as shame and blame. I am the problem. I'll never succeed. I am a failure. What that does is keeps you in distorted thinking. And you're trying to then fight against that with your actions. And it sounds dead obvious, but you're never going to believe something that you tell yourself repeatedly you cannot achieve, right? If you're telling yourself, I'm a failure, I'm never going to achieve this, well, don't be surprised then when you behave in accordance with that belief, right? Yeah. That's what you'll always do. And I'm not saying, I'm not a believer of things like affirmations and stuff do work, and they do help to nurture a more positive mindset, but like you can't just, I would love to look in the mirror and go, I'm going to be 8 stone by Tuesday, but that's not, it's not going to happen, right? Of course. So this isn't just a case of telling yourself, I believe I can, I believe I will, and all that false positivity, but understanding why am I sabotaging, right? And if I had to call this anything else, what would it be? So if I couldn't use self-sabotage as the label, what would I actually call this? Well, you would call it what was actually happening. Yeah, of course. Self-sabotage is a catch-all for behaviour that you think isn't conducive with the outcome that you want to achieve, but it doesn't specify what's really going on. So if you leave the self-sabotage label at the side and say, okay, instead of saying I'm self-sabotaging, I'm going to look at what's actually happening. I'm overeating. Okay, great. Now we know what we're dealing with, right? Overeating through the process of fat loss and changing your lifestyle and your whole relationship with food is necessary, right? It is a necessary part of change. You cannot succeed without failure. So once we start to see it as, instead of saying I'm self-sabotaging, that's everything ruined, I'm overeating, we can understand why I'm overeating, what's driving it, what's the trigger, how do I experiment with a different way of doing things. That then opens you up to the ability to change the process, because it's not you that's the problem, right? It's not that you have some sort of like inherent thing within you that means that you can't change or succeed. It's just that you're not taking the necessary steps to understand why you're behaving the way that you are, and then experimenting with changing that consistently over time. and then seeing things like failure, aka self-sabotage, as part of the process, as opposed to something that's to be avoided. So it's not that you are someone who will just always self-sabotage. It's that you're behaving in accordance with a belief and seeing that belief as intrinsic to you and can't be changed, as opposed to looking at it objectively as what is actually happening here and how do I take a different approach.
So see, when you're talking about like I talk to my clients a lot about this, but like if you inherently believe you're not going to get somewhere, then you're not going to get there, like you say, because that's your firm belief. So if you're talking about getting somebody to start to believe that without the whole airy-fairy, tell yourself you can do it, because it's just bullshit. Like, do you think that just comes through, does that just come through, like you say, like experimentation of just different things? Like, okay, well, let's try this and see if that works. Right, that didn't work. Right, okay, let's try this. And then it's just a case of keeping going through things and just try different things to see what works. Is that how you build up the belief? Because obviously from us, the belief would come from constantly failing and probably getting back on the horse and just like trying something else. Maybe takes away the belief that you can't do it because at least you're failing and trying again. But then how do you then actually build up the belief that you can do it?
Because everything that anybody has ever achieved has come through processes of consistent trial and error. The difficulty when it comes to health and fitness, particularly for women, is that it's very, very emotionally charged, right? So like, I know tons and tons, and this is something that a lot of successful women, a lot of professional women really struggle with, right? Is because they go, well, I've got a successful career, I'm highly educated, I've managed to go through the process of study and exams and fail in that and learn and get better and blah, blah, blah. Why can I not do it here? Why is it different with health and fitness? And I think we have to recognise, and again, this is more specific to women, but I think we have to recognise the weight and pressure that is put on women for how they look. If you are a woman who's trying to succeed in your career, for example, and you make the decision that actually, do you know what, this isn't right for me and I'm going to take a different path, that's fine. Nobody's going to criticise you for that, right? But if you're a woman who's been overweight your whole life and you keep failing to lose weight, people are going to criticise you for that, right? It carries a different weight and it carries a lot more emotional baggage because a lot of women do use food as a coping mechanism. So it's a totally different context from building belief in other areas, because failure, the relationship with failure in relation to things like study, career, exams, other pursuits in life is very often celebrated. It's not celebrated when it comes to a change in physique. It's not celebrated when it comes to health and fitness, right? There's a lot of shame and blame and guilt entrenched in failure because, well, if they can do it, why can't you, right? So I think there is a part of that which is continually experimenting until you get it right. However, how you approach the experiment, again, particularly for women, I think is a difference. Because what I see happen for a lot of people is they try and approach, they're entrenched in perfectionism. I could count in one hand the amount of women that I know that don't experience perfectionism and feel trapped by perfectionist traits, especially high achieving women. But there's a difference between a perfectionist and a striving high achiever, right? A perfectionist will behave in a certain way, expect themselves to get everything right, won't plan for failure, and then when they do fail, they'll see that again as like a failure of themselves. It's who I am as a person. I'm not good enough. A striving high achiever looks objectively at what happened and said, why did I not succeed here? I didn't succeed here because actually I was set up for failure, because I was going into this believing it was going to fail. So obviously I behaved in accordance with that. So what do I need to do next time? I need to accept that failure is data, and I need to accept that behaviour change is all experimentation until eventually one day that I get it right. And then you go back into the game again. They continue to try and they continue to persist with the change, and they take failure as data as opposed to failure being something is wrong with you. And I do think, like, for a lot of women like yourselves who are coaches and who have gone through the process of like developing your physique, going on stage, big performance goals, all of those sorts of things, you build a positive relationship with failure because you're used to failing and gathering data and applying it. Because all of these processes are data-driven logistical processes. If you follow the plan, this will happen, right? Whereas when it comes to more lifestyle change, it doesn't really work like that. You're working with a lot more qualitative data rather than the quantitative stuff. So when you're looking at processes that coaches have been through in order to achieve whatever it may be, whatever the outcome is, data is seen as a positive thing. And the failure that comes from, right, okay, this didn't work, I'm feeling puffy, or I did this test run, it didn't work. There's a scientific reason why. And the same goes for this kind of work, but people don't see it as there must be a scientific reason why this is happening. They default immediately to this is my fault. And I think that's why it can be a seamless process for some people and really, really difficult for others. It all comes back to their own level of self-efficacy. So self-efficacy is simply the level to which you believe you are capable of achieving things. So if you have gone through life being told by parents, family members, friends, teachers, everybody, you're really, really smart, you're really good at what you do, like you can achieve anything you want to, that can be like a double-edged sword, because although that can build, if you can behave in accordance with that and prove, oh my God, I actually am really capable of these things, the minute you're not capable, who am I then? Because all I've ever been is this smart, capable, confident person who was told they could do anything, and now I can't do this. So I think it's about accepting that this process is experimentation. It does have a lot of failure, but it is emotional as well. Like, it's supposed to be emotional. Change by its very nature is emotional. It's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be hard. Like, and I think sometimes people take those emotions as data. Oh, I shouldn't feel this way, or if I feel this way, I'm never going to go over this and I'm never going to succeed, when actually the emotional side of that is part of the data that you need to gather to be able to change.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of people think, pretty much what you said there, that they shouldn't feel certain emotions. And it's like, but you're never going to get better if you don't go through that. It's like anything, people want to mask things these days, don't they? It's like, one thing that I find dead interesting is how, and you'll all be the same, like, how many people do we know that are on antidepressants but are still depressed? And for me, that's like, I'm not saying it's not a thing, but what I mean is, there must be work not getting done there then as well, because it shouldn't just be about, here's something to fix your hormones so you're not depressed. Like, there has to be like internal work done there somewhere, but a lot of people don't.
I mean, that's not my expertise, so it's not something that I could give an opinion on. However, from my own personal experience, I think that for a lot of people, there isn't a level of support available to them to work through and understand these things. And it's so unique to every single individual. And I think when emotions are present through a process of change, a lot of the time they surface because you uncover things like further down the line as you get further into the process. So I set out on a fat loss journey to lose weight for my wedding. I did not expect to then uncover, oh, by the way, you're like this way because of years of repressed trauma. Right? I didn't foresee that coming. I think that's probably what happens for a lot of people, is they get so far into the process and they start to look after themselves. They treat themselves with more respect. They prioritise themselves for the first time ever. And they start to question, why am I like this? Why have I always been like this? They start to ask questions of themselves that maybe they wouldn't have previously. So these things were always there. They just weren't visible. And I think for a lot of people, a lot of people struggle with emotional expression because, again, in women, emotional expression is punished. It's not rewarded. We're branded as emotional or erratic or angry or
crazy.
Don't talk to her about that. She's pure emotional. But like, what is emotional?
100%.
Like, what do you mean when you say emotional? Like, name the emotion, right? So it's branded as a negative thing. So women push that down and push it down and push it down and hold it all together. And then they express emotion via things like food, right? Because if you're running a house, you've got kids, you've got a busy job, kind of getting drunk every night, people rely on you. So what's the thing that's going to help you soothe, de-stress, offload after a long day, it's probably going to be food. So even just being able to make that connection to say, like, to that client, why on earth am I self-sabotaging? Do you have any other positive outlet for fun, nourish, restoration, self-respect that isn't food? And I say to women all the time, what do you do for fun? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you do for fun? They go, I go to Tesco on my own without the kids. And I'm like, that's not fun.
No.
You're still doing, like, it's great. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love a solo Costco trip, but it's still productive. I'm still going to buy kitchen roll and toilet roll for my family.
Exactly.
So I think for a lot of people, there's a journey of self-discovery that has to happen alongside long-term behaviour change that I think a lot of folk don't realise that they've signed up for. And when they get to there, they either go all in or they go, no, don't like that.
They don't want to open that door, almost.
You do get that. You get, I can think of a lot of clients that I'm not at the now, but like you get that period of time with them where you're like, right, this is like the testing time of like, they're either going to go into this now or they're going to be like, this isn't for me. Like they don't say it's not for me. They'll just be like, well, things have came up, and I'm like, they're just like, I don't really want to go into this because they've realised like, oh fuck, we're opening a can of worms here, and like this is a lot in it. Because I think I said before, like if I get a client who comes to me who's got a lot of body weight to lose, like some coaches, maybe this is the wrong way to think of it, but some coaches look at that like, I'm going to get a brilliant result off that person because they've got so much weight to lose and it's going to look amazing. And but my first thought is that's going to be a difficult client, almost a difficult client, but like there's going to be a lot to overcome here. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, it will be good if we get to the other side of it, but you know there's going to be a lot of work has to be done.
Oh, absolutely. And as somebody who was like morbidly obese, like you don't get there by accident.
No, it's not just because you like food. Like, because like, everybody likes food. Do you know what I mean? Everybody loves food. There has to be another reason.
It's a comfort thing.
That somebody's getting there, and you know there's going to be a lot of unpicking to do there. Like you're like, right, this isn't just like eat less, move more. Like this is like a lot of unpicking here, and you kind of know you're going into that.
But the message that you're told when you are obese or significantly overweight is that you're just fat and lazy, right? You're just lazy, you're just unmotivated, and you just don't want it enough. So you internalise that narrative that is, oh, I'm just lazy and unmotivated and don't want it enough, so I just need to work harder. I just need to try harder. Very rarely are coaches willing to then take the time to say, there's probably a reason why you are here, right?
Oh, of course.
So let's understand what that reason is. Let's look deeper, and you will get a lot of people as well. I found this for myself where I was like, nope, I just need to stick to the plan and everything will be fine. There's no reason why I'm like, this is just how I am. It's not an issue. Don't look at it. Don't look over there, look over here.
You very rarely get the person actually saying you're right. They're kind of like, oh no, like I just know I need to do that extra 2,000 steps a day. I'm like, but
that shows you how powerful belief systems are, right? Because I genuinely, hand on heart, believed when I was 18 and a half stone that that's just how my body was meant to be, and that I didn't eat that bad, and my diet really wasn't that bad. Like it was just whatever. I can't even remember what fucking reason I thought it was at the time that was the reason. I wanted to believe that was the truth, so my brain couldn't connect with the reality. And then the further into the process I got, and I did connect with the reality, and I had to face that. 100%. That's a sobering experience.
Well, that's a very nice segue. Lovely segue, because I got a question from my sister. I'm not just going to say it's her. The rest are anonymous, but it's my sister because I did a fucking webinar and she was out talking about it, so people are going to know who it is. Who asked the question, because we've went back and forth on this for so long, because obviously she's my sister for a start, but she was a client for 6 years. And she's just literally leaving next week, actually. Thank fuck, can on. So she asked the question, why did I firmly believe for 6 years that what I was doing at the weekend nutrition-wise would definitely not impact my week? And why did it feel okay telling me everything was fine and that my calories were just too high? She was like 100% believed that I wasn't doing anything wrong, because every week, and I mean, I've got good relationship with my sister, so like I would say to her, like, you know, I am not like judging you here, like you need, like I know the science here, and the science isn't science, and she's like, nah, like I'm telling you the truth, and I'm sitting going, am I mental? Am I mental? Like, am I shite at this job? And then but she was like, then when it all came out in the wash, and I was like, why did you do that? And she was like, it wasn't a badness, I wasn't doing it to be a dick. Like I genuinely, hand on heart, believed that wasn't the issue. And she's like, why is that? And I'm like, I don't know, I'll ask Jen.
So it's boring, but it comes back to your beliefs. Shocker. Literally everything stems back there. But again, it is that filtration system. So like, you'll only select information that reinforces what you believe to be true. So you know how, like, for example, have you ever been a night out with a pal, right? Or you've been in a situation where your pal gets into an argument with somebody and you witness the argument, or you witness the back and forth, they're arguing with their boyfriend or something, and then you hear them retell the story and you're like, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're going, no, that is what happened. They said that. And you're like, no, they didn't. Right? But they're like, no, they did. I heard them and that's what they said. They've taken the information based on and filtered it through what they've already believed, what they believe to be true, and how that's made them feel.
Yeah.
Right. So you've both heard the same thing, but taking a completely different thing away from it. This is why people have like different political beliefs, religious beliefs, all these things, because it's filtered through, the information happens in real time.
Yep.
And it's filtered through a pre-existing system that you decide this is relevant, this is not, and this is what will change. Right. So for your sister, there could have been conscious awareness of what she was actually doing. There's two possibilities. There's conscious awareness of what she was actually doing, and the fact that she is your sister, meaning that there's emotional complexity within her being fully open, honest and transparent with you. So there could have been some acknowledgement and some conscious awareness from her that I maybe shouldn't be doing this, but I'm just not going to tell Lou that, right? Mm-hmm. Or I don't want to let her down, or she's doing me a favour and I don't want to. This might have happened consciously or subconsciously, right? That's then influenced her behaviour. Or she's had a very strong preset belief. And again, a lot of coaches' marketing, I believe, is to blame for this. See the coaches that say you can still go out every weekend, get mad, eat takeaways and lose weight. It's absolutely possible.
Yeah.
And then they don't tell you it's only possible because you're eating 500 calories Monday to Friday and then you can do what you like the weekend. And also it just doesn't reinforce like positive lifestyle change, right? It's mental. So I don't blame people for thinking that way, because they're often told these things are possible, right? There is a high likelihood that she's gone into the process with a strong attachment to those weekend, right, behaviours for whatever reason. Food has been doing a job for her, and it's been helping her to have some sort of outlet or process some sort of emotion. A lot of people, food is their fun thing, and that's why they struggle to get that sense of like giving it up when they go on a health and fitness journey. That's also why you'll see a lot of people say, I'm cutting out all the shite. Yeah. Right? I'm cutting it all out, because they believe that in order to succeed, they have to remove the thing that is then their only coping mechanism, and then they freak out 6 weeks in because they've just been surviving without a coping mechanism, and then have a fucking meltdown. Or you'll watch people swap food for other things. Yeah. So they cut out the food, but they start drinking. That's really common in people who do like weight loss surgery. They don't deal with the underlying issue. There's evidence that shows that a lot of people who get weight loss surgery, their alcohol take increases rapidly. Oh, really? Or they develop like an addiction to something else, like fucking shopping or like whatever, gambling, spending money.
And that's just because they don't have the capacity to eat that anymore, so it just goes to something else. So they've just swapped
one coping mechanism for another. They've never dealt with the root of the thing. So there's loads of possibilities, but my biggest guess here would be she has gone in with a very strong pre-existing belief that I can still do this and lose weight, and I can totally relate to that because I used to believe the same thing. And I genuinely believed, hand on heart, that I could just not track all weekend, and what I was eating was fine and it wasn't that big a deal and there wasn't that much calories in it. And then I would weigh in on a Monday and I hadn't lost weight and the shit would hit the fan, and I was like, why the fuck is this happening? I couldn't make the connection because I wanted to believe that that was possible, and I wanted to believe that that was true, because what's been happening for her is, remember, change and transition happen separately. So she's been up for that external change of losing weight. What she's probably not anticipated is the internal transition, and that's the change of identity. And the process of transition begins with endings. People think it's this new beginning. I'm going to become this new person. I'm going to fucking... It's like the guys that get a really bad come down and say, I'm packing in the gear and start playing the tiddle every weekend, right? They think that that's the new beginning, but that's actually a series of endings. So what's probably happened for your sister is she's not been ready to go through the process of transition to say, I actually need to leave this way of living behind and walk into a new way of living. So I'm going to believe that it's possible, and hold firm in the belief that it's possible for me to do this, eat this way at weekends and still lose weight. And the evidence hasn't been computing because there's been no willingness to then change, like to then switch into a new belief. So what happens in the brain is we create neural pathways for all of like our beliefs and behaviours, and every time the pathway is used, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So whenever the connection's made in the brain, it puts something called a myelin sheath around it and it strengthens it. Remember the cling film analogy that I talk about in Built to Coach? So if you've got one sheet of cling film, you can rip it easily. Whereas if you wrap cling film around something, you can't rip
solid,
it, right? So if you've behaved the same way for your entire life, you get a Chinese on a Friday night since you were 5, right? To then stop doing that at 25, it's not going to happen because it's so default and instinctive, you don't even think about it. And then you've lived your whole life having a Chinese on a Friday night and it's seeming completely inconsequential, right? Because it's never got in the way of you living your life ever before, right? And this is why whenever people are going through the process of change, I'm like, keep as many things the same as you possibly can. Keep getting the Chinese on a Friday night. The problem that a lot of people make is they go, oh, fuck it, I'm going to have a fucking tuna salad instead. Like, why in God's earth are you going to want to eat that? You're not going to want to eat the tuna salad on Friday night if you get a chicken curry. So just have the chicken curry. Let's change something else that's relatively inconsequential. Change something else that's like hacking your brain, that's not this big overwhelming thing that makes the process a lot easier. Because your sisters believed that those things weren't factoring in and genuinely really believed that, the evidence that's been the contrary to that has just not registered. So when she's had that sieve in the brain, that's just not filtered through the sieve because it just doesn't meet what she already believes to be true. She's got a strong pathway with tons of evidence that fuels her as this is the correct way to think. So anything else that happens, it just doesn't register.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because even with clients just now, you'll have a client in for a month and say maybe they're still struggling to find like a new routine when it comes to like eating and like training, and they're so hard on themselves, and it's like I kind of say to them, I'm not being funny, but it's took you like 36 years to get to this point. That's not changing in 4 weeks. Like this is a process. It's like and we get this a lot. Like people say, oh, but you do it, and I'm like, hello, I came from a fucking terrible eating disorder background. It's been over since the age of 14 to like 20, and I'm like, and only now am I going into 40 with a handle on it. So that wasn't overnight. That was a lot of work. And you're the same when it comes to even your habits and that. That's been years in the making, and people need to lay off themselves a wee bit that way and realise that this isn't going to happen overnight and you're going to fuck up and fall off the wagon along the way, and that's fine too because you're not a robot, and it does take time. And
I think the difficulty is, as human beings, we all want to believe in our uniqueness, so we want to believe that, all right, okay, it'll take all they folk 2 years, but it'll take me a year, right? Or all they folk will struggle, but that'll not happen to me, right? I'll be fine. I'll manage to do this another way. All they folk can't lose weight eating a takeaway at the weekend, but I'll be able to do it in the bother, right? We want to believe in our uniqueness and our ability to do things differently or do things better than other people. The issue that I see a lot of people set themselves when they enter into fat loss, I don't believe anybody should ever set a fat loss goal. I don't think anybody should start a fat loss process or even a physique like based goal. I don't think anybody should. I think you should start with a vision, right? And I think you should start with that 10 that I talk about, which is when life is exactly where you want it to be. How do you feel? How do you think? How are you making decisions? What have you got, right? But I say set and forget. Set that and then forget it fucking exists, because I think the problem that a lot of people run into is they promise themselves task completion, right? Instead of I'm just going to get started and see what happens. When you promise yourself task completion, you're always thinking about the end goal, the end result, right? So you're looking at it as, all right, okay, this will take ages. But then if I says to you, well, you need to engage in this and do this every day for the next 18 months in order to succeed, your brain's not going to be able to get on board with that, right? Because you're telling yourself every single time you fail, I'm further away from the goal. That's me further away from that thing. That's me prolonging this process when actually that's a key part of the process. You've not prolonged anything. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. But I think a lot of the time when people are promising themselves I will achieve this thing, X weight by X date, this size dress for this wedding, it just puts you in a position where you see failure is the barrier to getting there, but actually failure is necessary for you to be able to get there. And I'm all for people having goals and things that they can aim for, but I always ask people, having the goal is fine, but what will happen if you don't achieve it?
Yeah.
And if it's going to be a case of you berating yourself, beating yourself up, regressing like heavily, and it's going to be a absolute melting pot of negative emotions, beating yourself up, guilt, shame, then that shouldn't be there. Like, I'm a real firm believer in like X weight by X date type of things, unless you're someone who's done the process repeatedly successfully and has all the skills. You should not be setting yourself targets like that. I just think it always leads to disaster.
So what about those people just now that are like, but I really want to lose this weight, and I know millions of them actually, and it is a sin because you do see them trying, but they do self-sabotage in their words, not ours. Where would see with that, when you know it, you're kind of looking at them going, right, this is unhealthy now, like you're overreaching, you're like, what are the steps for them, right? So wait, what you said there makes total sense, but to give these people at least a bit of hope of you could achieve it one day, like where would they start? Where would you say, right, so if I had a client that came to me and said, I can't stop doing it, like I have a great month and then I'm off and I'm on, it's been like this for like 16 years, what do I do? Is that someone that maybe just needs a little more help with regards to like therapy and stuff like that, more than, because obviously that's then outside my scope of practice. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't deep dive into what's going on really. That's maybe a bit more help, would you say?
It totally depends on the context, right, that the person's coming into it with. However, I think for the majority of people, they don't recognise that they're just repeating the same patterns over and over and over. So if you're in that same cycle and you've been in that cycle for 16 years, there's a belief that's fueling that, right? And you're constantly repeating behaviours that you have enough evidence tell you don't work, right? So a great example of this is I was the client who would do great for 6 weeks and I'd be bang on it and I'd be obsessed and I'd be all in and everything was perfect. And then I would have one night out or one weekend off it or one cheat meal, as we called it back in the day.
The cheat meal.
Right. And then everything went to shit. And the reason that ended up happening, the reason that everything went to shit is because I believed that I could under-eat on the calories that I was given, right, and get there faster.
Kind of bank them.
Right.
Almost,
I wanted to believe that I had the capability to do that, but the evidence told me repeatedly that I didn't have the capability to do that. Just because it is possible scientifically doesn't mean that it's possible for you. But my brain was going, process, here's the science, here's what's possible, therefore I can achieve that. Right?
Of course.
What I wasn't registering was my barrier to achieving that, and then taking the evidence that said, you've tried this now repeatedly and this isn't working. So I'm of a firm belief that if you've been repeating the same cycles over and over, you need to deep dive, assess your patterns and trends. So once I started looking at what are my most consistent patterns and trends, I could look at the start of the year where I would go into like a fucking, you know, you ever watched boxers when they go into training camp? You know, like Tyson Fury will go into training camp for 3 months and no speak to his wife and only eats chicken salad. I used to do a Tyson Fury camp, right, but without the boxing. So for January to like March or April, normally be Easter weekend, I'd put myself on a Tyson Fury style fucking training camp, right, where I would deprive myself of everything. I wouldn't take any time off work. I wouldn't drink. I wouldn't eat any takeaways. I wouldn't eat any snacks, chocolate. I'd be training fucking dialed in, right? And then it would get to April and it would be Easter weekend and then I'd start to enjoy my life a wee bit more. And then it would all go to shit. And I would go, why the fuck is this? Does this keep happening to me? Why can't I get by Easter weekend? And I'd be enjoying my life and feeling guilty for enjoying my life the whole time. And then I'd try and put myself back into Tyson Fury camp, but it no longer worked because I didn't have the mental or physical energy for it any longer. So whatever weight I'd lost, I would maybe maintain my weight through the summer. And then I'd try and lock back into a training camp for a couple of months at the end of the year. But by this point, I've already regained the majority of which I'd lost. Do you know what I mean? So that was a really common pattern and trend that I would follow every single year. Once I recognised that actually putting yourself through that from January to April isn't working,
Yeah.
right? And there's no actual need for you to do this.
Yeah.
You have to accept that that doesn't work, right? Even though you like it, it's familiar, you think that it's going to work and that this time will be different, right? It's never going to be different. And I had to just accept that harsh reality.
Yeah.
Once I accepted that harsh reality, I had to ask myself, well, what's a different way of doing things? And a different way of doing things for me was, how do I make this so easy, so accessible, and so not in my conscious brain that I don't even notice that I'm doing it?
Yeah.
And that for me was focusing on one behaviour at a time. So for me, nutrition was the big thing for me, right? Fat loss was the biggest priority. What I found really helpful, and that's obviously just an aside because that was for me, but I think I said this the last time, like doing a performance goal completely changed my perspective on nutrition and how you actually fuel your body appropriately.
Yeah.
And that then made me realise, I actually feel so much better just in a general day-to-day when I just eat normal fucking food instead
100%.
of like 5 fucking what are they, skinny whip bars and call it a fucking meal, right? They're rotten. So even simple things like that, it wasn't until I said to myself, you have to let go of everything that you think that you have ever known and learned about this and start it as if this is day one of approaching fat loss in a sustainable and healthy way.
Yeah.
But so I wasn't allowed to do anything that I'd ever done previously.
Yep.
And I wasn't allowed to skip over basic details or allow myself to engage in any of the old behaviour patterns that I'd ever done before. I had to treat it as this is day one and do things entirely differently. The things that I would have dismissed before, I had to do entirely differently. And that was my promise to myself. And a huge part of that was building in regular fun, going out for food at the weekend and not seeing that as something that was off limits. Still having a croissant and a coffee on a Saturday morning instead of saying, no, I'm being good. Right? And then eating the equivalent calories of fucking Freddo's at 8 o'clock at night in secret out the cupboard, right? And being mindful with the food and enjoying it and removing food route. All of those things for me. But I had to look at what are the constant patterns and behaviours that I am repeating over and over again and why are those happening? And letting go of them and promising myself to do it a completely different way. That then became all right, this is just how I'm going to live my life now. As opposed to I'm just doing this till I get to here. Or I'm just engaging in these behaviours to get to this goal and then I'll patch it all. Like that's just not how it works.
Like a pure means to an end situation. Loads of people say it like that, don't like a pure, this is a means to an end. I'm like, it's not a means to an end, but is it like, and then you need to break it to them that like, actually when they get to where they want to be, they need to continue doing what they're doing. And they're like, what?
I say that all the time, like what gets you there, what keeps you there.
This isn't for a year, this is forever. Maybe a little bit of it will be shitter because you might need to dig a wee bit deeper, but nothing's changing at the other side of it other than like, and they're like, oh, what? Like,
but I think
and you can't accept that at the start of the journey.
No,
of course.
Because the pain of how you feel is too strong.
And then you're telling somebody this is going to be forever. They're like, fuck off.
You're also leaving a big comfort zone that you've been in forever, and that's scary as well. But I think this is the thing for me. Like you hit the nail on the head, and it totally resonated with me. My big thing when you said about learning about eating for performance, right? To me, knowledge is power. See, for eating disorders, the minute I actually learned about in-depth nutrition and what it does for the body, and it totally changed my perspective and everything. Even with clients, like, see when you educate them, it's like a game changer. It's like they don't see food as scary anymore. So it's like with new clients, they'll say things like, oh my God, they'll freak out and go, I've totally fucked up. Like, I was really bad at the weekend. And I'm like, why, what did you do? And they're like, I ate that pack of cookies. And I'm like, well, fucking hell, man, go to jail. Like, it's a pack of cookies. It's not an atomic bomb. Like, calm down. And it's almost like try to shift that mindset of that is bad and I've done a bad thing. And it's like, it's literally cookies. Like that. See if we bring it down, that's all it is. And it's about, I think that's why when we speak about workshops and stuff, like this is why we wanted to do this, because everyone talks like this, and we've always spoke about this and said there's just no educate. Like if people really knew, it would make their journey so much better, because it is like knowledge is power, and the minute they understand why they do these things and that things aren't actually that scary, they tend to go, oh wait a minute, I understand that more. And
I used to be really, really against now people give people meal plans. I used to be so against it, and I probably wrote a million posts on it if you go back my Instagram long enough. Like, you don't need a meal plan, blah, blah, right? But the more I think about it and the more I take on new folk, I don't give them necessarily a meal plan that they have to stick to. But it's actually one of the best things I do for clients is give them this is like a rough day of eating, like, and every one of them's like that, like, well, that's a lot of food.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
that structure.
Aye, but that's like what you could eat in a day, and they're like, oh no. And then when they start doing it, like, that's actually quite good, and you're like, aye, like, you can eat quite a lot of good food. Like, it's not about like how little can I eat, like, how can I make that smaller? I think if they just think it's like, oh, I like a wee Sandra, I will say Sandra, like, just like eating a wee chicken Kiev and boiled potatoes and a wee bit of cauliflower cheese, like, it's just like, I'm going to need to make that smaller. I'm like, you don't. There's a way you could just make that bigger and better.
Yeah.
And then folk are like, oh.
Yeah, I feel like people don't know how to eat. I know that sounds ridiculous,
No,
but I feel like they've always grew up with a certain structure. And then when you actually show them, because I do the exact same thing, like, I give out plans, but everyone gets a meal plan, and I say to them, you don't have to stick to this. This is just like here's a guideline what your day could look like. And they go, exact same thing, like, oh, that's quite a lot of foods. And I'm like, because it's like whole foods, it's good foods, like nourishy foods. It's not like I'll get up and have a Greggs and then I'll not eat it until dinner and then I'll nitpick the kids' stuff. So it's like,
because that's how you're right into it. Like, at the end of the day, like,
my mum still eats
my mum didn't eat very much and then would sit and eat like fucking cheese sandwiches at night and that. I'm like, you could have just ate that sandwich at lunchtime and had one.
And it's mad though, because I think, like, I can remember when I was carb loading for my first half marathon, I can remember messaging Martin, I was like, I can't eat another bite. And he was like, Jen, this is the average amount of calories that you probably have actually been eating in a day when you've not been dieting. And I was like, no, I've never eaten this much. And he was like, come on to fuck. Like, I think we had the relationship at that point that he could be like, shut the fuck up, you're talking shite. And I'm like, I just had no idea that the foods I was eating actually contained this amount of calories, because I didn't want to know.
Of course, like, nobody wants to know.
I wasn't searching up how many calories was in my chippy, right? I'm still not fully confident actually how many calories are in a chippy.
You wouldn't know. I would never want to know.
Right?
Just enjoy the chippy.
Exactly. But like, it wasn't until I'd done that and I was eating like a full packet of rice and then another full packet of rice and then 300 grams of boiled totties, I was like, I am stuffed to the gunnels. And he was like, do you see why? And I was like, right, okay, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So I think like, and I think balancing that with enjoyment, I've always said that, like, taking the foods that I loved and finding a way to make them fit has always been the thing that I have done. I eat chips, cheese and chicken tikka like for a meal several nights a week, but I make the chips myself, I make the chicken tikka myself, wee bit of mozzarella cheese, it's absolutely stunning, wee bit of broccoli on the side, like a packet of broccoli every day, no joke, because my iron levels were so depleted for pregnancy and birth, I've just eat a shitload of broccoli, but I'm like, I've just always I just take that approach instinctively now, where I'm like, I really fancy that, so I'm going to find a way to make it. And I think this is the key thing for so many women, because again, like, I can remember when I worked in an office, I know we've probably gone pure off track here, but like, I can remember when I worked in an office, right, and it was like lunch Olympics, who was eating the least. And I can remember like, I was always fucking dieting, but I was probably doing Slimming World. So I was having all that free food and I had like chicken and rice and roasted veg, right? Because I'm an absolute slut for chicken and rice. Like,
I love so good.
Honestly, I must have been a bodybuilder in a past life, because see, chicken, rice and broccoli, that is my absolute grail, right?
I know.
So I had chicken, rice and roasted veg, and somebody beside me had a cup of soup, right? Somebody who was probably in their 50s and had the muscle tone of a fucking shoe, right? And probably knew his crumbling bones, right? Eating a cup of soup, and she was like, oh, I could never eat all that for lunch. I would need to lie down. What she's saying to me is, you're fat, and you should be eating that big meal,
it's
right?
So shaming, man.
But me having that big meal was benefiting me in losing fat. Had I had a cup of soup, I would have been fucking ravenous, right? But even that, like, it's that, oh, what are you eating? Oh, that's a big meal. Oh, I couldn't eat all that. Like, all of those things, that just fuels the narrative that you then tell yourself, right? So, you know that you probably should take a more robust meal into work, but if fucking Sandra is sitting with a judgmental cup of soup, then you go, should I actually be eating this? Is my coach wrong? And she definitely right, because that is a lot of food. Maybe that is a lot of food. Maybe I should just have, or I'll just eat half it and bin the rest and save the calories for later on. So like, all of these things, these wee things feed into your mind and totally obscure your view. And genuinely working in the fitness industry was one of the most beneficial things for me when it came to changing my relationship with food and training and all of those things, because I was like, oh, that's actually, I didn't know that was bullshit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Didn't know that was a lie.
But you always find that the Sandras that are eating the cup of soup are going home and they're
Of course
eating.
they are.
It's like,
Aye.
people say this to me all the time, I could never eat all that food. And I'm like, sweetheart, I've seen you tuck into a Domino's.
Aye. Don't
Just
eat your
you simmer
fish.
down. Settle yourself down. Like,
I always
let's
say to
not
clients,
deny
I'm like, it should be a flex. I look at it like, because I'm confident in doing it, and it's easy for me to say it, but I look at it like a flex that I eat a lot of food. Like, I'm quite like proud of the fact that I eat a lot of food.
Yep.
It's very, very, don't find very women that are proud to eat like a lot of food.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're just like, oh, like you say, like tucking it away, like, oh, that's quite a lot, like I'll half that or whatever. Like, I'll say to clients, like, you should be fucking proud to be like taking in an actual meal
Absolutely.
and being like, I am fucking eating that. Like, what are you eating? All right, like you say, you're eating your cup of soup. You're not eating that all day.
No.
You're 100%
She's
going to eat something
She's
else.
raging at you. But you're
She's just, I'm like,
Aye.
they're just saying it because they're raging at you. Like, it's fine.
yeah, she's raging. Like,
Aye.
we always laugh because I literally have the appetite of a man.
Oh, so
But I could easily eat a full Domino's pizza and probably a couple of sides. And this happens to us every time. See, whenever me and Ross go out for dinner, right? Every time, ask him. Every time we put our order in, the waiter or waitress will always go, do you know that's a lot of food? And we literally look at them like,
Challenge accepted.
away you go and put that order.
Aye.
And they say it all the time. And then in the end, they always come out laughing and going, here, fair play. And I'm like, that was not a lot of food. That is like food.
mind that day me and you went out for our day of eating. That was brilliant, man.
That was
Me and-
like, was that not after our photo shoot?
we both did photo shoot at the same time,
Yeah.
and then we were like, do you want to go for like an actual day of eating in Glasgow? And we're like, aye,
wow.
brilliant.
Where did you go?
We went to a place called the Amsterdam in Merchant City.
That was
It
good.
was like a burger place that was banging. We got like food there. We went to Tantrum Donuts. We went to a dessert place.
Yep, we went to a dessert place. And then we had something else.
Yeah, we got
What
something else.
did we
I
get
don't
to take
know.
home?
When we got home, Ross was like, "You're a couple of fat bastards." I
know.
was like, "Don't be fucking jealous, Ross."
Yeah, he was so jealous.
He was
It
well
so
jealous,
funny.
man. It was so good, but like,
Yeah, it was
that was
so
a pure
good.
class day.
Yeah, I love food, but I think I enjoy food now because I understand it and I know to train for performance. And but that's what I'm saying. And that, again, that's why we want to do this, because I just feel like if everyone had the knowledge, they'd be like, oh, wait a minute.
Aye.
I don't need to be starving.
Aye.
I don't need to feel this way.
But I think you need to live it before you
Yeah.
live
100%,
it. Because I
definitely.
think if you get so used to feeling like shite that you just assume that's how you're supposed to feel. And then when you actually let yourself experience it
Yeah.
and you realise that nothing bad happens and you actually feel better, it's like a totally transformational thing. But I think not enough people give themselves enough time to get
don't.
that feeling.
No.
To then get the breakthrough and say, oh, right, okay, this is what everybody was talking about.
Yeah.
It's almost like I saw this wee analogy thing and I thought, that's pretty cool. Who was it who was talking about it? I don't know if it was like Simon Sinek or something. He was talking about people with like goals and stuff like that. And he says, a lot of the time it's like people are standing in fog, right? He goes, and see when you're in like deep fog, you can't see what's in front of you. He goes, but you're only going to see what's in front of you by taking the steps forwards.
Yep.
And then it becomes clear. He goes, and for all you know, it's like, say that's the goal there and I'm here and I'm going, oh, I can't walk forward. And he goes, it's like people miss things because they're so afraid to get out that comfort zone and just be uncomfortable.
And this is the thing, I've never met anybody who's comfortable in their comfort zone.
Never.
Like,
Of course
your
not.
comfort zone is still uncomfortable, it's just familiar. It's not discomfort that people fear, it's the lack of familiarity.
Yeah.
It's not being able to predict what is going to happen next.
Yeah.
But I say to people a lot, like, what would you be doing instead? Like, if you want to change your relationship with food, well, you still need to eat every single day for the rest of your life. So actually, what would you be doing instead? You would be eating the way that you're currently eating now.
Yeah.
So let's just make a very minor change. You still need to cook your food. You still need to eat your food. You still need to do your shopping. So why don't we just look at making very small, minor changes that will seem completely inconsequential, but will start to contribute towards making a difference.
Yeah.
Let's start there with one small thing every single day.
Yeah.
And let's try one small change for 2 weeks and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then if that works, let's implement another small change for 2 weeks and see what happens. I think the difficulty is that people believe that things need to be a lot harder than they actually are. Whereas I think when you can be accepting of what the process entails emotionally, it's a lot easier to promise yourself commitment to very small things and very small changes initially. It doesn't mean that it's all small, slow change forever.
Yeah.
But I always say to people, like, specifically when it comes to fat loss, like, investment doesn't increase output when it comes to fat loss.
Yeah.
spending all your time and energy thinking about it and focusing on it and visualising where you're going to be is wasted energy when it comes to fat loss, because the amount that you think about it is completely inconsequential to the change. And actually, if you think about it less, it takes up less mental energy. Like when you're going through the process of conscious change, it all happens in the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is tiny. It makes up like 5 to 10% of your overall brain composition, so it gets tired really, really quickly. So if you're overloading it constantly with information, like about TikToks about fat loss and the best workouts you can do and creating a new recipe from scratch every single fucking day, and a full food shop that is unrecognisable for what you would normally get, and promising yourself all of these things all at once, your brain can't handle or can't hold all that information in the working memory. So what it does is it delegates out what it thinks isn't important and keeps what it thinks is. But when it delegates out the things that aren't important, that it doesn't have space for, it needs to do something instead, and that's your default. So that's where it'll go to the basal ganglia. That's where all your habits, routines, behaviours exist. So you think that you need to break the bad habit, or I keep doing this bad habit, but you've not given yourself anything to do instead. You tell yourself, I need to stop, I need to end, I need to break. The brain doesn't understand stop. So you need to give, it's the same way you do with kids. You'd never say to your child, stop throwing that. You'd say, here, play with this instead. Here, throw that instead. You redirect the behaviour you want to have instead of the stop. And I think that's probably where a lot of people leave themselves in a position where they repeat old default behaviour patterns completely unconsciously, but it's because you've not given your brain anything else to do instead. And specifically with a health and fitness journey, you're changing 7, 8 different behaviours all at once. Traditional behaviour change focuses on one behaviour. But if you're trying to change your relationship with food, change how you eat, change how you train, move your body, remember to drink your water, remember to take supplements, that's a lot of things for your brain to take all at once. It can't hold all that. So like, I think that people think that they're creating a realistic expectation that it should be possible because they're role modelling themselves on folk like yous that have been doing it for a million years. But you've also done it in stages.
We've done the work.
Do you know what I mean? I think people just need to promise themselves stage 1. This is my priority thing, and I'm going to focus on nailing my lunch every single day and telling Sandra in her cup of soup to get fucked and eating my chicken rice. That's the thing I'm going to focus on for the next 2 weeks before I introduce anything else. That would lead people to so much more success because that's what the science tells us what works.
It's so true. I had a client who, and you'll be the same, you get new clients and you'll say, so how many days a week could you, like, you're finding out the life in like the consultation, you'll be like, how many days can you commit to training? They'll be like, six, as many, and you're like, no, let's calm down. And I always remember I had a really heavy client, and I said to her, here's all I want you to do, stop drinking full fat Coke. And she went, that's it? I was like, I'm not even giving you a training plan. I just want you to get steps and stop drinking full fat Coke. And she was like, you could see her genuinely going, why am I giving you my money? And I was like, I promise you, I just want you to do that for a month. And she dropped, like, she was a big girl, like a stone and a half in a month. Like, and it, like you said, it's just the small things initially make the big difference, doesn't it?
100%.
And that gives that trust and buy into the process as well.
And I think a big thing, which is kind of not directly to what we said there, but we spoke about it before we came over here, was like, so many folk are really bad for just being like, right, draw a line and move on. I'm like, I fucking hate when people say draw a line. Like, going to stop drawing a line. Like, how's that helping it by drawing a line? I'm just going to draw a line and move on from it. I'm like, well, maybe don't do that because
it's just avoidance.
Like, you need to go back. And I always say to clients, like, their check-in form, I'm like, this check-in form isn't for me. I'm not interpreting all this data. This check-in form is for you to reflect on your week. Like, it's for you to look at and go, why, that wasn't great, was it? Or like, it grinds my gears when people go in on a Sunday night and fill in their check-in for the whole week, and I'm like,
I hate that.
It's a reflection tool. Like, you're kind of meant to do it. Maybe not every night. I get people are busy, but like, maybe no, like at the end of the week, and then just like, I'm like, this isn't for me to look at all these numbers and go 8 hours of sleep, blah blah blah. Like, I don't care. Like, it's for you to reflect on your week and be like that. And then there's a question at the end of mine. It's like, what's the one thing like that you want to focus on for this week? Just one thing. Because I'm like, there's a lot of information there, and like you say, people are a bit like, my training and I need to focus on my training and my steps and my lunch, and I'm like, that's a lot. That's a lot, and it's a lot of things that aren't going well. Like, just maybe dial it into one. But people don't reflect, and I get why, because I think people are, it's a scary thing to do. I don't like doing it because you're like, need to go back and think of what I did shite there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not nice.
And I think as well, like, a lot of the time people don't reflect in a way that brings them benefit. So the thing is that what you're asking people to do in a check-in, right, is provide evidence that they are adhering to the process, essentially, right? Yeah. So if they feel like they haven't been, that's a difficult reality to face, because in that moment that they reflect, they have to not only admit to themselves that they've failed, they then have to come to you and say, I've failed at this thing, right? Yeah. That's a really, really difficult thing for human beings to get on board with, even when they agree to it, right? And even when they sign up and say, I'll be 100% open and honest and transparent, that's a really difficult thing to do emotionally, right? Is to cope with the fact that I have failed here. But again, this is where I think it's really important to flip the narrative for people and look at the process that's happened. I always say to coaches, challenge the behaviour, not the person, right? Yeah. We're looking at the behaviours that they are engaging with and whether or not they are conducive with the change that they want to see or a barrier to the change that they want to see. And then together, let's tackle the behaviour. The problem is for a lot of people is that because the process is an emotional process, and even the coach and client dynamic, there's so much happens subconsciously, psychologically between a coach and a client. I could sit here all day, right, and talk about all the psychology behind that, right? But one of the most common ones is transference and countertransference. So based on that person's life experience and who you remind them of will then dictate how they interact with you, right? So if you remind them of their teacher at school and the way that you coach them, and they loved their teacher at school, and one time they disappointed their teacher at school and they were devastated, what they're trying to do the whole time is avoid disappointing you. You don't have a fucking Scooby any of this is going because you're just there to coach them. And then you're like, why are you lying to me in your check-in? Like, I'm not going to get you into trouble, right? And they don't know why they're lying to you in their check-in because they know that you are just both adults, right? But all of this stuff happens unconsciously in the coaching relationship. That means that when somebody has to face that, what was your weight this week? And they're 3 pun up and they know why, but they don't want to face that reality. It's just easier, right, to just pretend that that's not happening and move on. And not look at that thing. And I think that's the difficulty, and that's probably the main thing that we're actually really helping people to focus on in coaching, is to separate themselves and their identity from their behaviours, so that we can look at changing the behaviour first and foremost, and then look at, so how does your identity sit alongside this, and how do we get your identity to support this change instead of being the barrier to this change. And a lot of that comes down to helping people to understand where the shame and blame and guilt are coming from, and actually how can we work together to recognise that these are emotions that should not be present when it comes to things like health and fitness and food and exercise. So let's change your narrative together, right? And I think when you can enter into an agreement like that, it helps it to be transformational in a way that's not deep diving and shit that's not relevant, right? We're working with what's relevant and understanding we're here to change your behaviours together, not for me to try and like attack you as a person. But I think a lot of people come in with that fear and they don't know they're coming in with that fear. So that will influence how they interact with you and then how they behave based on what they've experienced in the past.
That actually fits in quite into a question I got, and it was a mum asking, so like, what happens if you recognise a behaviour but they don't, right? So for example, I'll use it in me so that I don't give the person away. She's talking about her daughter, but like if it was my client and every week they're checking in their weights up or whatever and they're going, oh, it must just be because I'm on my period, it must just be, and there's always a kind of reason for it. So it's almost like they themselves, not that they're lying, but they don't want to recognise it themselves, but you do. How would you go about that? So basically, if I was
the coach,
or so with the client that's asked, she's basically saying it's her daughter. So she knows her daughter's secretly eating, she knows all this, but the daughter's just not owning up to it. Obviously, the daughter, for her, it is a shame thing, and maybe she just doesn't want to recognise that herself. But when someone's really, really worried about that behaviour of another person, how would you touch on that?
So it depends on the relationship. So a mother and daughter, it would be a very different way of dealing with it than a coach and client. So which do you want me to answer, mother and daughter or coach and client?
Probably mother and daughter.
Aye, because she asked that.
So the difficult thing for the mother to accept is that the daughter has probably learned this behaviour from her. So for the difficulty with being a parent is that you are unconsciously teaching your children how to behave, how to think, and how to make decisions all of the time without even recognising that you're doing it. So you are building their belief system as you're raising them on the basis of how you think, behave, and make decisions.
Yeah.
So it is highly likely that she has learned this behaviour in the home.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And it's potentially been influenced from elsewhere. So in all honesty, in that sort of dynamic, I would probably seek more professional advice in line with like a family therapist.
Yeah.
Because I think especially for a young girl, that could go so wrong
100%.
so quickly if it's dealt with in the wrong way. And that's probably a wee bit outside of my expertise. But I think for the mother, I would be looking at first and foremost, where is my behaviour around food having an impact on this? How much am I talking about my appearance, my scale weight? If the mum can't identify anything that she's doing to fuel that, then there's information coming from elsewhere. Her daughter's accessing information elsewhere that's potentially fueling
like school and
a
stuff
sense
like
of
that.
shame and guilt. And depending on her age, would depend on what kind of sort of intervention that you would be looking at. Because if she's particularly young, if she's still school age,
I think she is. Yeah.
That would be concerning for me if she was school age and trying to lose weight, and there's kind of secret, like any sort of secret behaviours or shame and guilt. I would 100% seek professional support for that, because that could go the wrong way very quickly.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Okay, good. Hopefully that answered it for her. Yeah.
I'm sure it. Okay, I'll ask one. I'm going to have to ask the good ones now because we're running out of time. Okay, have we covered this? How does our past, or how can our past influence our eating habits?
Oh, extensively. So
it's a big question, but
in so many ways, but I'll stick to one, which is probably around behavioural conditioning. So our behaviours are conditioned in 3 different ways. So we have classical conditioning, operant conditioning, social conditioning. So classical conditioning is understood by this is day one of psychology, but classical conditioning is like the Pavlov's dog experiment. So what they would do is the Pavlov experiment is they would feed the dog a treat every single time they rang the bell, and eventually what happened is when they rang the bell, the dogs would salivate expecting the treat, whether the treat was there or not. The bell was the stimulus for the treat, right? Yeah. So we classically condition ourselves with food all of the time. Like, it's Saturday morning and I want a pastry. You don't want a pastry because you want a pastry. You want a pastry because it's Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So you make that sort of association. Or like Friday night, it's Friday night, I'm pure craving a Chinese. You didn't have the independent thought to crave a Chinese. A lot of people do this when they'll see certain food they'll see an advert. This is why adverts work. They'll see an advert, they'll see something on their phone, they'll see somebody else eating something and go, oh my God, I pure want that.
Yeah.
And then they'll go and get it. And I have a rule myself, unless I've had the independent thought for the food, I'm not allowed it, right? If it's been an outside influence,
I like that.
then I'm not allowed to have it. But if I've had an independent thought of, I'm actually really in the mood for a McDonald's, that's fine, because it's come from me.
It's you.
It's not been fed to me from an external source.
I said that to a client once, a teacher who...
So
you know what teachers are like? They've always got snacks and stuff, and I says, did you wake up this morning wanting a Victoria sponge cake? And she was like, no.
Aye.
But you have it.
Aye, exactly. Yeah. So that's always my rule, is if it's self-motivated.
Yeah, I like
and I'll
that.
always try and put a bit of a delay in. So if I want it, I'm not having it right now, but I'll delay it. And then if I still want it, I'll have it. That's, for me, that's helped me build a healthy relationship with food, where I honour food desires and wants, and intuitively, without being a dick about it.
Yeah, totally.
Then you have operant conditioning. So this is punishment and reward, good and bad. This is where a lot of our food rules are taught in childhood. So you better clear that plate, or you're not getting a sweetie. So there's the punishment. You're not going outside to play until you finish your dinner.
Yeah.
You can only eat your dinner on the doorstep if you finish it, and then you can go out and play with your pals. So you create those food rules. I need to finish this. I need to eat through fullness. So you've not eaten enough, keep eating. Or you need to eat 3 more bites, so you're encouraged to eat through fullness a lot, or you're then rewarded. So obviously, as a fucking fat Wayne, I wanted the ice cream cone and I wanted the thing for the van, and I was getting nothing off the van if I didn't finish my dinner.
Yeah.
So I very quickly learned that rule.
Yeah.
And then we just replicate that in adulthood. So we'll punish and reward ourselves on the basis of how we behave around food. I've been good all week, so I'm going to treat myself at the weekend. That's where that's learned. And then social conditioning is basically where you learn behaviours of what's socially acceptable based on who you're around. So friend groups. So actually a lot lot of kids who develop eating disorders in like kind of early adulthood, teenage years are often influenced by someone in their immediate circle whose eating habits they have mimicked. Or like, for example, like when we were younger, remember it was all the forums, the pro Anna and pro me and all that, and that was so that's like an example of like socially conditioned behaviours. Obviously it is a mental illness and that has a whole other layer to it, but a lot of behaviours, so like I've spoke about before, when I was in school and none of the lassies would eat at lunchtime, they'd get a packet of crisps and a packet of chewing gum for the van. And then that's what every lassie did. Nobody wanted, everybody was starving, they wanted to eat a packet of crisps and a packet of chewing gum for the van, but that was the socially conditioned acceptable behaviour. If you'd have sat down in the dinner hall with a tray of food and ate it, you would have been a fucking freak of nature, right? You would have been bullied into submission. So that's where the kind of social conditioning element comes from. And if you come from a family who are big eaters, big feeders, you then just associate that as like a normal thing. If it's the opposite, if you come from a family who don't really eat much, or like they'll eat one meal a day, that like that will then influence your kind of behaviours with it. So it has an influence in that side. And then food as a coping mechanism, as a response to kind of issues in childhood or trauma in childhood, that's a whole separate issue. But from a behavioural standpoint, that's where it's mostly conditioned. Food rules and food decisions are taught to us by parents, and we mimic what our parents do.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
do you get anyone to ask?
No, I think cover quite a lot, actually.
I'll cover a couple more if you want to do a couple more. We get time? Yeah. Okay. When it comes to becoming the person I want to be, what is your best tips when it seems so far away from where I am just now?
Oh my God, that's a $1,000,000 question.
I got some big questions.
I think I'm still
People are asking me a lot of questions these days, by the way.
Read me it again. When it comes to the person.
So when they're trying to so now the people have this, like, they want to become this different person. That's now people always like, think of the person you want to become and the way they're going to live, and almost like the whole life at 10 thing seems like quite far out. That, I suppose it's quite similar to describe your life at 10 and you're at a 0. It seems so far away. Like, what's your biggest tip to like start when it seems like that person I want to be is like, maybe I sign up with Nikki and I'd love to be like Nikki, but I'm nowhere near what Nikki's like, and I'm like, how am I ever going to get to that?
Honestly, I feel like you need to accept who you are first before you try and become anybody else. I think that sometimes people step into this is who I want to be and this is this idealised version of myself, but actually it's only because they're not accepting of who they currently are. And I don't think you can change anything about yourself until you fully accept who you are for all your flaws and all your problems and all the things that have ever held you back and all your experiences, and make peace with that. That for me is step one, and I think probably a step that a lot of folk try and skip over, is that they think that the becoming bit, the who they're growing into, is where they need to go. But actually I think you can only get there if you're fully accepting of who you are in the here and now, flaws and all.
Absolutely.
And I don't think you'll ever get there. Like, I think you can define that 10 of like a general direction of travel. It's like vision. Like you should never achieve vision. It's a direction, it's a feeling, it's an ethos, it's the thing that wraps round the way that you live. That for me is like, identity's ever evolving, and it needs to be ever evolving, and there's actually parts of your identity that you'll stumble across that you never thought that you would, or parts of your identity that will make a transformational difference to who you are that you'd never planned for. So I think you need to acceptance is the first step to any change, but most importantly identity change. And I think like why do you want to become a different person? Like, instead of thinking how do I become a different version, I would be thinking how do I upgrade my systems?
100%.
Like, how do I upgrade who I already am, instead of trying to transform into somebody entirely different. Because you are who you are for a reason. So I would think more along the lines of, what are the parts of me that I want to improve and make better? And then what are the parts of me that are already good that I want to nurture and not lose sight of and retain as I do grow and evolve? That's probably more along the lines that I would think of, as opposed to
just becoming this whole other
here's
person.
this elite version of me. Because see, the thing is, see, when we think about future us, everybody does this. Subconsciously, you set big audacious goals and go, future me, you'll have that figured out, because you're not connected to them, they don't exist. But like future you and current you're the same person, you're just doing different shit. So like if you're promising yourself future you's got all their shit figured out and everything will be fine, you're doing current you a massive disservice, because they will feel disconnected for that. So yeah, I would think acceptance and improvement of who you are. Don't try and become somebody else.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great response.
Great answer.
Thank you.
That is
I'm a politician. Notice how I can answer all these questions without actually giving an answer.
I think all the other questions that I got have probably been kind of answered in
they're all about the
mix of the...
Nay nosy questions. That's actually that.
Nobody's asking any nosy questions. Would you normally get nosy questions?
Oh, all the time.
Like
I very rarely get like expertise based questions. I normally just get nosy questions.
Oh wow.
I don't hate, but I sometimes get just pure daft questions. Like, do you know, like that? Don't know. Just pure like, what's your favourite fucking? I don't know. So like tomato sauce or brown sauce. Like, ask me a real question. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I quite like questions like that as well.
I don't mind them sometimes, but when you get fucking 10 of them, you're like, what am I going to talk about here?
Yeah.
People just want to know daft shit.
Yeah.
But I do like, but I wish we'd got some funny ones. And I wish, I don't know, should we think of funny ones? Would you want to ask Jen? It's funny.
We do want to ask Jen.
Do you want to ask it and it's funny?
What's your guilty?
That's so aggressive. Do you want to ask it and it's funny? Louise, I'm alright.
That's
ask me something funny, I bastard.
What is your guilty pleasure?
In life?
Yeah.
Are you going to answer this question when you start thinking?
I don't know if I've got one.
Just general guilty pleasure?
I don't know if it's guilty.
I don't feel guilty about it, but one of my favourite pastimes ever is Paul, whenever we watch something new or we come across something new, me and Paul go to different corners of the internet and discover every single fact about the thing.
I love that.
They're both neurodivergent, and then read each other out all the facts. So he'll go on Wikipedia and he'll spend hours on Wikipedia, and I'll spend hours on fucking Reddit and YouTube, and then we'll both present all our facts about the situation to each other. We're fucking we find each other. Imagine me saying to somebody, "See this programme we've just watched, you want to spend 3 hours on Wikipedia reading about it and tell them all the facts?" And we're like, "Fucked." Psychopath. I don't feel guilty about that.
No, that's not guilty.
I
I suppose it's not really guilty. Like my weird thing is, and Ross slaughters me for this, right? So I'm not a good cook. Like I'm a very, very basic cook. I shove shit in the oven, like, and I can very, very basic. But I love a cookery program. See things like MasterChef Australia, Nigella. Love it. But I can't cook. And he's like at me, "You're obsessed with cookery programs, but you don't." And I'm like, I don't know why. But I just find them so comforting.
I love them. I love this is such an autistic thing to say, but I love, one of my special interests is like processing and distribution. So I'm obsessed with, you ever seen the programme How It's Made?
No,
but I do like stuff like that when it pops up on my internet.
So good. Internet. So I love, like, see when something goes from concept to product.
Yeah.
See the whole process of the concept being designed, then they build it in a factory, then they put all the bits together, then they ship it out, then it's in the shop. That fucking lights my fire. I don't feel guilty about it. It's just weird.
It's not a guilty thing.
But that's probably another weird. There's several weird things about me.
Yeah,
but
I've got loads of weird things too.
I absolutely love that. That's how I see if I had a Saturday, see if I had a child-free Saturday and I'm on my own. That's what I'm doing.
That's so
playing
funny.
The Sims. Sims 2.
Do you like the Sims? Do you like to read and stuff like that? No.
Aye, I do.
What's your genre? Are you a romance chick?
I love the ACOTAR series and I didn't expect...
Oh, I can't get into it at all.
I loved it and I didn't expect to like it at all.
I cannot get into it.
I do like a light-hearted book. I do.
See with that, do you know what kills me with that? Now, this must be my brain thing. Someone gave me one of those books. It was like the first one, A Crown of Thorns or something like that. Mm-hmm. My brain, and it's the same with the Harry Potter books, I can't wrap my head around the fantasy. I can't see it in my head. So I'm reading it and I can't see it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Aye.
So I instantly go, that makes no sense to me. A guy with like what? I can't see it in my head.
I don't like it. Like, I don't read books like that, but I hate films like that.
So I love films like that.
Oh no, see, it's like see Stranger Things, right? I love Stranger Things, but it started and then see at the end, and then you found out it was like a weird, like, what is it, like a Demogorgon? I was like,
Yeah.
I'm out, man. I don't care.
Like, she doesn't like Harry Potter.
That's not
I've never seen Harry Potter.
I hate Harry Potter.
Oh,
Shite, man.
Harry Potter's my cut. Again,
appeal to you.
I tried to read
I
Harry
hate it.
Potter and I got to the point where I'm going, what was that again? And I can't
struggle to
envision the
picture other
fantasy.
things in my mind. I
So
do
that's
as well.
how the ACOTAR series, I can't get into it at
No,
all.
I did like them. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the story. And I didn't expect to. I did.
Love a wee saucy novel.
What's yours?
I'm not like a huge reader. I love just like, so I don't know if it's like the genre must be like a just general thriller type thing like that. I just read the book. Is it Behind Closed Doors? It's called. I don't even know who the
do
author
like
is.
that.
Amazing.
Lou, do you ever read saucy novels? Please tell me you do. I can't see you as a saucy.
No.
Oh, really?
Why not?
Don't love a wee porny
Maybe I
book now
do.
and again.
I don't see you, Emils and Boone.
You don't know what
Like, you
you're
don't know what's
missing.
on Behind Closed Doors, guys.
Love it.
Nah, I'm not like a huge. This is terrible, but I'm like really bad for sitting down. I'm such a fidgety person, and I really can't. Like, I hate just sitting about and even like watching something. I'm like, like fucking, I want to do something. I don't know. Like, I really struggle to just sit down and like read a book. But so it needs to be something that gets me like fed. That
I need to have 4 hours
And
where I can invest.
and I don't
fully.
like anything that's like can't be real. Like, if it's not, if it's like a fantasy thing or like Game of Thrones, I'm like, nah, I'm not.
Oh, see, I love all that. I just couldn't read it, but I do love all that. Fantasy and
I
stuff
like
that.
a wee. I don't know. I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm a pure avid reader. I do read books, but not like it's not my thing.
Yeah, I love reading. I'm
Mr.
such a
Happy.
geek.
Does that make me an unhappy person?
What's your
because I read
guilty
books?
pleasure? I know.
All right. What's
Just
I
loves
don't know.
it
My
when
guilty
he comics.
pleasures. I used to love watching the Kardashians. Maybe that was a guilty pleasure.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Fucking love it all, man.
Aye.
They're just
In the early days when they didn't have like big brands and all that.
I've never watched
When they used to
any.
just bar each other. And all.
Aye, I've never watched any recent series at all. Can I tell you what's going on now? Like,
They're very
pretty
boring
much
now.
watched it up till Chloe looked like a normal person, and then like I've never watched it
I
since.
love Chloe though. I feel so sorry for her. She's
Aye.
such a wee soul. She's like the nicest of them all and she gets the most shit. I hate
But I
it.
loved it. It's just I feel
rot.
like I just
Chewing
like
gum.
see when all day you deal with just like people all day. I feel like I don't want to come home and watch like something.
No,
I
I'm
want to
with
watch
you.
something that I'm like just
Chewing gum for your brain.
Yeah.
Defo.
Like somebody's like, well, watch this real thing. I'm like, right, I'll need to watch that at the weekend. Like,
Yeah.
I love
on
game
Sunday.
shows. I watch game shows
Do
all the
you?
time.
Oh my god, have you ever watched
Can
In
I
for a
get
Penny?
No.
Please, right. Have you ever watched In for a Penny? It was part of the fucking Ant and Dex thing. Apparently, it was like a wee spoof thing, and then like he's just made it in a show. It's so stupid and fucking daft. It's that guy that does catchphrase now. What's his name? Stephen something.
Oh, Stephen Mulhern.
Aye, I think he's hilarious, right? Because he just rips the absolute piss out everybody that's on it. It's
Right.
just people for the street, and he just rips the piss out them, and it's hilarious. You need to watch it. It's
Right,
called In
I'll
for a
add
Penny.
that to my love. I'm obsessed with Tipping Point because I love they always find pure donkeys.
And why do they always say it as well? They always talk on it as well.
Aye,
It's their first
day there.
day
Do you
there.
remember the one and it was like talking about like Homer, the philosopher, in one of his poems, and the guy goes, "Well, I know he likes donuts," and he was like, "No, not that Homer." I fucking love Tipping Point.
See, every
So
time
good.
Tipping Point, when it comes down, they're like, oh, like just a wee bit to the right. I'm like, why are you talking?
I know.
Nobody asked you to
I
talk
know.
about the coin that's coming down. Is that
I
a Tipping
love
Point?
it. Aye.
Yeah, aye,
Oh,
that's it.
I love
Imagine
board
it
games,
wasn't.
and honestly, Paul fucking nae one of Ray drinks because genuinely I would play a board game every single night of the week, and he's like,
I like a
"Oh,
board
fucking
game.
See,
fuck
I
off."
couldn't tell the last time I ever played a board
Every time we got the
game.
kids
Have you
over,
ever
I'm
played
like,
Secret
"Please, can we
Hitler?"
play Monopoly?" And he's like, "Fuck off." He played it with me when I was pregnant because he knew you couldn't say no to me
Yeah.
when I was pregnant. But I guarantee you, when we go again, I'll say, "Do you want to play Monopoly?" He'll say, "Get fucked."
See, I'm too.
You need to get Secret Hitler.
What is Secret Hitler?
It's what it sounds like.
Is this going to get you cancelled?
I know. I was about to
It's a
say
game.
that.
It's a game. I've not actually played it yet, but I know the premise of the game. It's a long story, but anyway, you need to play it with multiple players. But
Right.
it's it's like a political game, but it's like
Right.
Oh, definitely gonna get
it's
cancelled.
meant to be brilliant, man. I bought it at Christmas when I
Next
never played it.
podcast, we're going to sit and just play.
Secret Hitler and In for a Penny. And if you've never watched Last One Laughing, you need to watch Last One Laughing because it's the best TV show ever made. It's like a bunch of comedians that get locked in a room for like time, and nobody's allowed to laugh. You're not allowed to
You've
smile
showed
or
me
laugh.
that before.
And it's like Bob
you've
it's like
shown me
Bob
that
Mortimer,
before.
like Richard Iwadi, like loads of really good comedians, and then they're obviously all trying to go with each other into laughing, but they also can't laugh.
Oh, that
and they
sounds
all get put out
class.
by their own jokes because they
Yeah.
fucking find themselves
Well,
hilarious.
I'll forget everything that
It's
you've said.
so
can you
good.
send me
I'll
all
send
these
you.
recommendations?
If nobody's watched Last One Laughing, honestly, please watch it. It is the funniest thing you'll ever watch, man.
That sounds class.
It's
That does sound pretty
Watch
funny.
that tonight.
hundreds of comedians just
Yeah,
trying
that
not to
does.
laugh. It's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. That's a good way to end the
good.
podcast.
That was a nice really hard-to-play.
Nothing today we were talking about. Podcast 3 is going to be in Jen's smell a bottle of wine.
Yeah,
Oh, in one mic.
Class, by the way.
Playing the Hitler game.
Playing Secret
Make
Hitler.
sure the baby's
Fucking
in
hell.
bed and then we'll get down to it.
That's a brilliant idea.
That'd be such a good idea. I know.
And you want to punt while you're on?
Would you want to punt my own podcast? Is that rude?
Yes,
Yeah, no, go for
no.
Brains and Wains. Actually, I've
Love
only
that.
released one episode, so depending on when this comes out, there might be 2. I'm not sticking to a schedule. I can't be arsed. Really, to be totally truthful and transparent.
You've
Yeah,
won.
you've
You've
got enough
won.
going on.
You've won the award there for best title.
Brains
Yeah,
and
that's
Wains.
such a good title.
Low key gutted. Ours is called Mind Over Muscle.
I know. We should have went with Oats and Horse.
Really shipping for Oats and Hose.
We should have went
We're
for
going
Oats
to
and
maybe
Horse.
change to Oats and Hose.
I'm
We
hoping
can't
for a
rebrand now.
rebrand.
Can we not?
Nah, but that's a
To be
belter.
fair,
innit?
I've seen your overnight oats and they look stunning.
Is it? Have you made them?
I don't think so, but I've seen them and they look beautiful.
Why? Please make them, guys.
I'm not really an overnight oats kind of girl.
No, you will be though.
I'm not overnight
Neither
oats
was I,
style.
because people do
No.
people just put in yogurt and fruit and it's stinking. I'm telling you. Please, for the love of God. See if
Right,
Em
send
do
me
it
that
there.
with all your
Right,
recommendations
fuck me,
and I'll
man.
make it
I've
right.
not got time for this bitch. Okay, you want to punt your podcast out now?
Brains and Wains, and then I also do the Built for Coaches podcast as well. And that's actually what I do for a job, is working
Yeah.
for coaches. If you want a free resource for how to build your business and keep your clients without being an arsehole, then you can DM me Scale, and then a wee
Oh,
robot,
you've
I'll
even
send
got a
you
word.
over. Aye, because it's the
Love
robot
that.
that does it,
Aye,
it's not
because
me.
you need to have the word for all the
Aye.
things start.
So if you
Yeah.
DM me Scale,
Yeah.
my wee robot will ask for your details and then it'll fire
Aye,
it
it'll
over
be
you.
you.
Simple as that. No, it's not me, I'm busy.
I know.
I know actually for my robot.
Love that.
You want to punt, Nikki?
Go to Irving.
Just busy all the time, mate.
Please watch our podcast.
Don't need your business.
Yeah.
Busy all the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty jammed today.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I've got space for online coaching.
Yeah.
If MD likes a sarcastic bastard that wants to coach them.
With great
I'm
recommendations
actually
for
a
board games
brilliant
and
coach,
telly.
by the way.
Charge Leslie.
You like my vibe. Cool.
Yeah.
Happy
Leave it there.
days.
Thanks very much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having
We'll
me
see
back.
you for round 3.
See you in the
Yeah.
next one.
Do the horns.
Oh, yeah, we need to do the horns.